the President, the Vice President, past President, the Life President of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, to the excellencies here from the various African member states, to the various partners including Afrexim Bank, United Bank of Africa, captains of industries, my colleagues from the ECOWAS Commission, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of His Excellency, Dr. Umar Aliu Toure, the President of the ECOWAS Commission, and Madame Masanje Toure-Litsa, the Commissioner responsible for Economic Affairs and Agriculture, I would like to thank the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry for inviting the ECOWAS Commission to this very important event. A trade fair such as this demonstrates our shared vision of creating economic growth and expanding market opportunities within the region and beyond. For me personally, it is a pleasure to be here at the 2024 Africa Special Day in a location which is actually just a stone's throw from where I was born. There's St. Nicholas Hospital, I think not more than 200 meters from here, and that is where I was born. So I'm really indeed back home. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, facilitating trade, or simply put, trade facilitation, refers to policy reforms and measures which are designed to reduce trade costs. They include not only at the border, but also behind the border measures that address barriers to trade, such as promoting efficient border practices, streamlining to achieve faster, more transparent, and secure system for carrying out trade transactions. For those who are not very familiar with ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States was established by the ECOWAS Treaty, which was signed by 15 West African countries on the 20th of May 1975 here in Lagos. ECOWAS is considered as one of the pillars of the African Union, and we were set up to promote cooperation and integration, leading to the establishment of an economic union in West Africa in order to raise the living standards of our people, maintain and enhance economic stability, foster relations amongst our member states, and contribute to the progress and development of the African continent. At the very heart of our treaty are issues related to trade and trade facilitation. From inception, ECOWAS has called for effective cooperation and the integration. We achieved the promotion of trade through a number of instruments, including as the work towards the establishment of a common market to liberalize trade, the adoption of a common external tariff, and the removal of obstacles to the free movement of persons, goods, services, capital, and the right of residence and establishment. Regional integration has thus been a key to economic growth and to unlocking the economic potential of the West Africa sub-region. And trade facilitation has been a critical tool in our regional economic agenda. Globally, studies have showed that there is a positive correlation between trade facilitation and gross domestic product, as well as a positive correlation between the Human Development Index. In other words, trade facilitation is a critical tool to achieve raising the standards of living, but also to achieve the several sustainable development goals, including goals 8, 9, 10, 16, and 17, which relates to decent work and economic growth and productivity. In ECOWAS, therefore, we have a number of measures to facilitate this integration, and we have been doing that for a number of years by addressing barriers to trade, creating opportunities for regional value chains, industrial development, and business expansion. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the ECOWAS Vision 2050 puts into action the goal of regional integration. Pillars are there to ensure we have a fully integrated and prosperous region that is mobilized for transformation, inclusive, and sustainable development. And to this end, ECOWAS has already introduced several initiatives aimed at facilitating trade and advancing regional integration. Some of these include the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme, which allows goods produced within the region to be exempt from customs duties. The ECOWAS Common External Tariff, which is a unified tariff system that harmonizes the range of import duties on goods from outside the region to strengthen the internal market. The ECOWAS Customs Code, which sets out to harmonize and simplify the regulatory framework relative to customs procedures. It implements key facilitative measures such as advanced rulings and customs duty relief to facilitate cross-border movement, as well as to promote the exchange of information between customs administrations. Another important measure is our community transit procedure and the interconnected system for the management of goods in transit, referred to as SIGMAT, an electronic system to connect administrations and simplify transit procedures. The ECOWAS Trade Obstacles Alert Mechanism is another key innovation developed to address trade barriers. Officially launched in November 2022, the Trade Obstacle Alert Mechanism is an online reporting platform on which traders can report trade obstacles and have them resolved by national authorities in a timely manner. Additionally, ECOWAS initiated the Corridor Development Program, which focuses on transforming major regional transport routes into economic development corridors through infrastructure development and trade and transport facilitation initiatives. A good example is the Abidjan-Lagos corridor. To supplement fast-tracked movement of goods, ECOWAS has established joint border posts which enhance customs cooperation and improves the movement of goods along borders. Importantly also is the alignment with the World Trade Organization Trade Facilitation Agreement. ECOWAS has created a regional trade facilitation committee in order to bring together ministries of trade, customs, and the private sector to resolve issues faced by the private sector. Other initiatives include the ECOWAS Biometric ID Card and the Brown Card, as well as the ECOWAS Trade Promotion Organization Network. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is noteworthy to know that these measures listed are but a few of the total measures being employed to facilitate trade and improve seamless trade within the region. However, there is still more to do. To further harmonize regulatory controls and address trade barriers, the Commission is developing several regional strategies, including the Regional Trade and Transport Facilitation Strategy, the Common Trade Policy, and a strategy to eliminate non-tariff barriers. The Commission is also focused on intensifying efforts in implementing ongoing initiatives to fully unlock the potential of trade in the region. Moreover, addressing cross-cutting issues such as gender inclusivity is paramount as we implement. We have already identified strategies to further integrate businesses into the continent through the African Continental Free Trade Area, where we have established an implementation strategy, and we're also leveraging on technology through the implementation of the regional e-commerce strategy. Very important as well is to ensure inclusivity, and that is to enhance the role micro, small, and medium enterprises play in our various economies. As I conclude, I would like to emphasize that the ECOWAS Commission continues to promote trade facilitation and trade amongst its member states. The success of trade facilitation measures ultimately depends on the engagement of businesses and local communities in the utilization, implementation, and monitoring of existing policies. These initiatives seek to foster the development of regional high value-added products that attract larger revenues for the government and the citizens. And this will also lead to strengthened local industries that drive economic resilience and diversification. As trade facilitation improves market access and trade conditions, the region becomes more attractive to foreign investment and supports positioning ECOWAS as a competitive player in the global market. It's with these few words that once again, we're very glad to be participating in this very timely and important event held by the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and we wish all of us fruitful deliberations as we continue throughout the day and the rest of the event. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shefola. Please put your hands together for him again. Yes, our keynote speaker is Mrs. Kanayo Awani, the Executive Vice President, Intra-African Trade, Africa Export-Import Bank, AFEXIM. But she's represented today by no less a person than the Acting Regional Chief of Operations Officer, Mr. Allen Theory Umbonge.
Your Excellencies, Mr. President of the LCCI, Mr. Deputy President, former President, distinguished guests, captains of industries, ladies and gentlemen, need to stand on existing courtesies. It is a privilege to address you today at the 2024 Lagos International Trade Fair, Africa Special Day, and to convey the special greetings of Professor Benedicto Ama, President and Chairman of the Board of Directors of AFEXIM Bank, as well as Mrs. Kanayo Awani, Executive Vice President, Intra-African Trade and Export Development. Although she cannot be here in person, her passion for this remarkable event resonates strongly with all of us. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today's session, boosting intra-African trade, institutions, finance, and technology, reflects an essential commitment to our collective future. It affirms the role in building integrated Africa, rich in opportunity and vibrant with innovation. On behalf of the executive management of AFEXIM Bank, I extend my heartfelt thanks to the ICCI for their dedication in advancing trade, and to the federal government of Nigeria for its unwavering support in bringing regional trade initiatives like African Continental Free Trade Area to life. Platforms such as this are where our aspirations converge, where we establish partnership, and where we align our strategic priorities to transform Africa's economy. Distinguished guests, as we reflect on Africa's journey towards economic integration, let us once more remember that the vision began 61 years ago with the formation of Organization of African Unity. After. Yes. Sorry. Our founding leaders understood that without economic independence, political independence was incomplete. They set forth an agenda that has become the foundation of our aspirations: the creation of a free trade area, the restructuring of international trade, the organization of African trade fairs to stimulate commerce, and the establishment of mechanisms for payment and clearing within Africa. Today, this vision materializes in AFCFTA, PAPS, Intra-African Trade Fair, initiatives transforming how we do business. AFCFTA is a transformative opportunity that redefines Africa's trade and investment. It establishes the largest free trade area in the world, uniting 1.4 people with a single market with a combined GDP of over 3.5 trillion. By 2030, Africa business and consumer spending are projected to reach $6.7 trillion, providing an immense opportunity for growth, especially for Nigerian and West African businesses. According to UN Economic Commission for Africa in 2021, the value of intra-African trade will increase by 400% by 20 with AFCFTA, from about $100 billion in 2020. Afreximbank has embraced this vision as a central pillar of our mission, embedding intra-African trade and industrialization as cornerstones of our strategy. At Afreximbank, we believe that sharing trade information and matching supply and demand could boost intra-African trade by 38%. Our response to AFCFTA has been deliberate. Under our strategic pillars, we are investing in institutions and financial systems to ensure that Africa trades are resilient, competitive, and are equipped for the demands of the global economy. Over the past few years, Afreximbank has disbursed more than $20 billion in support of intra-African trade, and our goal is to double it to $40 billion by 2026. The philosophy behind our intra-African trade strategy is that building robust domestic and continental supply chains in Africa would facilitate a seamless flow of goods across borders. According to Article 5 of the bank's charter, the bank was established to facilitate, promote, finance, expand intra-African and extra-African trade. Allow me to highlight some of the key interventions that Afreximbank is implementing to boost intra-African trade. We have the AFCFTA Adjustment Fund, established in collaboration with AFCFTA Secretariat. This is a $10 billion fund that provides critical support to African countries and businesses adapting to AFCFTA framework. It offers debt financing, grants, technical assistance, and compensation funding to cushion the impact of trade adjustment. Afreximbank has committed $1 billion to this initiative, along with $10 million grant to ensure its effective rollout. We are also working closely with Nigeria to establish a national adjustment fund to leverage this AFCFTA facility. The other key intervention is the PAPS, the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System. I think for those that are in business, and all of us have bank accounts and are doing trade between Africa and the rest of the world, Africa, among African countries, we know how it is difficult at times to source dollars. Banks are short in dollars, the cost is very high, and I think from recent studies, it came out clearly that the cost of sourcing dollars is over $5 billion for African businesses. So PAPS is actually a solution for Africans. It addresses one of the most significant barriers in intra-African trade, currency inconvertibility. Let me also touch on African Trade Gateway. This is a digital ecosystem. The digitalization is a must. So we've launched this once more in collaboration with African Union, the AFCFTA Secretariat, and ATG, as we call it, is integrated platform that simplifies and supports intra-African trade. This includes MANSA platform. Once more, we know the high cost of compliance, anti-terrorism financing, anti-money laundering. So when you are dealing with partners outside, the first question that comes in mind is this entity blacklisted? So we, on the African Trade Gateway, through the MANSA platform, we provide this KYC verified. So we've actually onboarded a significant amount of SMEs, banks, governments, and when you are MANSA certified, MANSA verified, it actually removes the challenge with regard to compliance. We also provide, among others, trade information. We actually allowed the users to access trade information. It can be country reports, industry or sectors analysis. We provide all the regulatory regulations, custom regulations, fiscal, within that platform. So across the value chain, wherever there are bottlenecks, we provide the information. We also provide opportunity for businesses to showcase their products and services. We provide financing within that platform. So ATG is a digital ecosystem that will change and will alleviate the cost of trade. So we strongly encourage businesses, banks to subscribe. And the good news is that most of the Nigerian banks are on ATG. Also want to talk about the Afreximbank Africa Collaborative Transit Guarantee Scheme. You know, when you look at Africa, north, south, east, west, we always say we should be able to move goods from Cairo to Cape Town. Yet, there are custom duties, there are challenges with infrastructure, and so on and so forth. So we came out with this innovative idea to say, when we provide companies with this transit guarantee and concomitantly financing trade-enabling infrastructure, roads, railways, ports, wherever there's a need for a custom guarantee or any guarantee, you have a single sort of instrument that allows you to move from east to west without any challenges, from north to south. So that's the whole idea behind that. The automotive financing facility, once more in collaboration with the African Association of Automotive Manufacturers and the African Union, we've established a $1 billion facility to support Africa's automotive industry. We will expand on that later on. Another key initiative, which is very important for Afreximbank, is empowering Africa's entrepreneurs, SMEs, women, and youth. So we have a number of initiatives, instruments. We are also insisting, and we are doing capacity building. I think last week I was in Lagos. We organized a workshop for SMEs development. I think beyond the financing, which is for some of us is straightforward, we also need to work on the capacity building. So this workshop was very well attended, and we intend to do more, not only in Nigeria, across Africa, because it's one of the challenges that we must overcome. We are also focusing on women. How do we ensure that we support women in their businesses, in capacity building? So there's a whole, we have a full array of product and services initiatives that addresses this point. One of the, I'll say, key product that we are promoting in Nigeria and across Africa is factoring. I think factoring is the factoring bill that will definitely is expected to go for public hearing in the Senate by year end. We are working actively to promote this factoring law in Nigeria, as we did in most of the countries in Africa. That will help in terms of short-term financing, receivable financing. So we're driving that aggressively. Now, definitely, the Inter-African Trade Fair. My colleague will touch on that in due course to tell you a little bit more about, it's all about when it started, and this has been a success. This is the largest ever trade gathering where governments, banks, all the captains of industries, everybody comes, and we've managed to conclude a transaction in excess of $40 billion, and we're looking forward to do more. So my colleague will expand on that further. So ladies and gentlemen, Afreximbank remains committed to supporting initiatives that make reality, fostering inter-African trade through robust institutions, innovative financing, and cutting-edge technology. Let us seize this moment to solidify Africa's place in the global economy, building a future where our people thrive, our industries flourish, and our economies are interconnected. Thank you for your kind attention. Let us continue this journey together towards an Africa that is truly open for business. Thank you. Now, I won't leave the stage, because once you're up here, you enjoy it. I just want to touch on, for those that don't know Afreximbank, who we are, what we do, the financing and non-financing solution that we provide. I won't bore you with technicalities. I just want to pronounce my name again, because we're struggling. And one of the requirements, a takeaway, is that the deputy president of L, yes, LCCI gave me is like, he said, we need to learn how to pronounce African names. So I think my name is Mbonge. I think it's difficult. I come from a country, a neighboring country of Nigeria. So, but they call it, in my tribe, they call it Mbunge. It's difficult to pronounce, right? I equally struggle when I have to pronounce names here, so no offense. But I think Africa is the most beautiful opportunity for all of us. We need to move from talks to action. And Afreximbank is doing quite a lot in this regard. So I'll quickly touch on that. Technology. So we are a quite, I would say, we were recently created under the auspices of the African Head of States in 1993, the response to global debt crisis in the 80s. So the bank was created in 1993. We actually have a legal status, and we have a charter. We are considered as international organization with privileges and immunities, preferred credit status. We're a multilateral financial institution. The purpose and the mandate of the bank is to promote, facilitate, expand, finance intra-African trade and also extra-African trade. Meaning, in our way of looking at intra-African trade, we include the diaspora. So the Africans that are outside the continent, how do we support them to do better, to do more? We also include the informal trade. I think a lot is happening across the borders, which is not captured. So our focus here is to bring everybody on the table and to provide, promote, facilitate. We have 4 classes of shareholders, A, B, C, and D. So the A class will then include all the African states. We also have the B class, the financial institution, African financial institutions. We have the non-African institutions. We will have the China Exim Bank, Korean Exim Bank, all the Exim Banks of the world that are also supporting Africa strong partners. We have 53 African member countries. So, and I think as we speak, maybe the other countries left are ratifying the bank's agreement. So this is a dynamic information that is worth updating as we move. The concept of global Africa includes the Caribbean community. So the bank has expanded, and we now count 12 Caribbean participating states. I think as we speak, that number has evolved. So today we're talking about global Africa. In terms of geographical presence, we have our office in Abuja, which I'm the head of. So the Anglophone West Africa office covers not only Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Gambia, among others. And we have regional offices in the Southern Africa, in Zimbabwe, in Harare. In the east, we are in Kampala. In the north, definitely that's the headquarters, but we have a team looking after North Africa. In Francophone West Africa, we have a team in Abidjan. In Central Africa, we have a regional office in Yaoundé. So across Africa and the Caribbean, we have regional offices, and we provide the full services. We are client relations, product specialists, and so we do everything end to end. So if there's any financing need, any request, please channel it for those that are in Anglophone West Africa through my office, and definitely we give the right attention and send it when required to our headquarters in Egypt. We are an investment grade financial institution, A-rated by GCR, among others. Let me quickly touch on our strategy. The arrowhead of our strategy and AFCFTA implementation. Definitely, I won't expand much on that. The whole objective here is to promote and finance. We all know the figure. African countries are not doing business among themselves. We don't even have the trade information. We don't even know that there is a good cassava being produced next door. We don't even know that in Egypt there's expertise, that we don't even know that Nigeria has expertise in XYZ domain. So are driving this aggressively in terms of the implementation of AFCFTA because we believe that this is the way to go. There are huge opportunities. Still in our key pillar, the industrialization and export development. Here we are promoting and supporting export manufacturing, industrial parks, special economic zones, and we've done a lot across Africa, countries like Togo, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire. In Nigeria, we are moving very fast with some of the states. So agro-processing, industrial parks is something, and export development is an objective that we definitely are driving aggressively. On the next pillar is leadership in global trade banking. So what we're doing here is to support merchant banks, commercial banks, investment banks, financial institutions as a whole. And we have a number of products that are basically very much into boosting, supporting, de-risking trade transactions. And one of them is to confirm letters of credit. So we provide LC confirmation lines, guarantee lines to banks to do more, to actually enable their customers or their sub-clients to do more within Africa and outside Africa. So this is very important. We also do capacity building. We are currently organizing a trade finance seminar in Southern Africa, and we organize that yearly to make sure that we actually sharpen the skills of our interlocutors, our partners, our trade finance intermediaries. And the last but not the least is the financial sustainability. We want to maintain a credit-worthy, sound, financially sound institution. So it's important for us to maintain solid profitability, liquidity, capital adequacy, and asset quality, which is the case as we speak. Now, in terms of programs, as I earlier said, there's quite a lot. One of them being, and banks in Nigeria, banks in West Africa, banks in Africa are very familiar with it. What we're trying to do here is to add confirmation on the LCs that are issued. Or we can equally issue LCs directly on behalf of importers, African importers. Afreximbank can finance directly corporates. So I think those that meet our target market and risk acceptance criteria can enjoy our financing directly without going through a commercial bank. We also finance, support, partner through co-guarantees, co-financing, syndication with banks within across all African countries. And the AFTRAF is well known. This is the acronym well known by financial institutions, where as an investment grade, Africa is home. We have appetite for risk appetite. Whenever any global bank has some concerns about our risk profile, our countries, or it's too risky, Afreximbank comes in and provides solutions. And AFTRAF is basically one of our key products. We've managed to onboard, and when you say onboarding is the KYC and exchanging SWIFT keys. So we onboarded about 300 or more, and the objective is to onboard 600 regulated commercial banks across Africa. And we provided in excess of $9 billion of LC confirmation. This is trade. Each time they talk about trade, we cannot access financing, or there are challenges. So we work with partners, and we have a lot of partners in terms of commercial banks, investment bank, merchant banks across Africa. Let me touch on the subsidiaries of the bank. The bank has created, and one of the subsidiaries is headquartered in Rwanda, in Kigali, which is called Fund for Export Development in Africa. So FEDA has actually been the development impact equity investing subsidiary of the bank. And we've done a lot since 2021 on the equity side. So we can do quasi-equity, equity financing, because what we've noticed is that they are viable projects, but sponsors are actually short on the equity side. So this institution can actually come on the equity investment, while Afreximbank provides debt financing. But beyond that, there's also the problem of pre-feasibility studies, feasibility studies. At times there's also a need for grants for project financing. So we also provide, through a project preparation facility, this support, this financing. So if you look at it end to end, when there's Afreximbank can play the role across the value chain. We assist on the studies, we come on the equity, we come on the debt. We do provide advisory in conjunction with most of the banks in Nigeria, most of the banks in Africa. So it's partnership. So Afreximbank is not in competition with the commercial banks. We tend to complement and supplement. So whenever you want to do more, if a customer comes to us and say, oh, AT, by the way, they call me AT, Alain Thierry. AT, we need this financing. I'll say, did you discuss that with UBA? Can they do it? So there's always, for example, there's always the question around additionality. What are we adding? What are we doing that commercial banks for XYZ reason cannot do? That's where we come into play, to do more, to do better. And this partnership has been amazing. So FEDA, you know today that on the equity investment side, Afreximbank can play a role. Now, let me touch quickly on some of the products. I think if we talk about programs and facilities, we can spend the day here. I won't bore you, but what you need to keep in mind is that on the export and import side, we have all sorts of products, including pre-export, post-shipment financing solutions, lines of credits, guarantees, on note purchase programs, direct financing program, future flow, pre-financing facilities. I think governments at times, and this is when we talk of sovereign, so we can lend to government directly, we can lend to financial institutions, we can lend to corporate, SMEs, and so on and so forth. So we set up as a public-private sort of institution, because in our shareholding, we have about 62%, if I'm not mistaken, of our capital, which is owned by African governments, African central banks, African institutions, but we also have private equity investors. So that gives us a sort of leverage in terms of policy advocacy whenever there are challenges. When we come in such events is to understand what exactly businesses are facing and how can we contribute to bring solutions. So we are a very solution-driven institution. So partnership is key. And it's important that you also understand who we are, what we do. We are not a commercial bank. You don't open accounts. You don't, oh, I want to open an account. So, but we can provide support through financial institutions for a group of SMEs. Let's look at the creative industry, for example. We can say we can allocate a $10 million, $50 million line to some of the banks. And this will be for on-lending to entities that are operating in a specific sector. It can be creatives, it can be anything that is trade-related. And this type of intervention has been very important. I want specifically to touch on the support on intra-African trade. So the figures keep changing. They say that the intra-African trade level, the trade among African countries is around 17%, 16%. It hasn't grown. When you compare it with Europe, Southeast Asia, and so on, LATAM, is definitely Africa is not there. So what we've put in place is a global facility. The global facility that we've developed is actually for the African multinational corporations who we branded this Intra-Champ. So it's like we take companies, your members here, not only do we make them champions because they can go beyond a country. Let's take the example of Nigeria. If there's an institution, a financial or a corporate that wants to expand across the sub-region and across Africa, we can provide a global facility. That global facility will definitely can be direct financing. It can be a guarantee, a contingent liability, which allows that company to expand. And we also provide technical assistance across multiple African countries. So it's good to know, as everyone will leave here and say, so what's the takeaway? What has that gentleman of Afreximbank said? He said that when it comes to financing, you can give a call to your banks, you can come directly, you can go through your government. If there are any challenges, we partnered with LCCI, we partner with ECOWAS, we partner and we bring solutions together. The other aspect is intra-African trade investment finance. So we support acquisition. What we've noticed is that because Africa is risky, we're seeing a lot of, in certain countries, some of the foreign investors leaving the continent. But we have capable African companies that want to acquire businesses, do joint ventures, but they are short in terms of cash, in terms of funding. So we have a dedicated intra-African investment finance. We've done a lot in Nigeria, we've done a lot in West Africa and beyond. So it's good to know that we provide acquisition finance, we provide solutions when it comes to concession agreement. Equally, we provide intra-African investment guarantee. So this is basically to cover the foreign and Africa direct investment. So the purpose is to protect investors against risk events that may impair the investment rights or earnings. So, you come and invest in Africa and there's expropriation. They say, no, this has been, or there's a nationalization. So this we call the political risk nationalization and expropriation, or the convertibility and transferability, all this risk. How do we mitigate that? Which type of guarantee can we provide to investors? So it will attract, if we go out and say, why are we not investing? When we look at the foreign direct investment level of Africa, it's so low compared to the rest of the world. So why is Africa not a destination for investment? And they will tell, oh, I think it's risky. What do you mean? Do you mean risky? Okay, what if we, Afreximbank, come in the middle and provide you with a guarantee and say, please come and invest in Sierra Leone, come and invest in Gambia, come and invest in Nigeria. If things go wrong, this is home. We will deal with it. We will pay you. So I think that's the whole essence and the philosophy that we're trying to promote here. To de-risk transaction, to make sure that Africa is the place to do business. It can't only be talks, oh, we have the largest natural resources, we have arable land 60%, 1.4 billion, but what about the challenges? So Afreximbank is there for that. So same for the contract guarantees. When you come and you want to, there is a procurement process, you have to go for bid bonds, advance payment guarantees, all these bonding facilities. So for intra-African, so a company can actually now be bold enough and look at Africa market and say, I just got information from ECOWAS Commission. I think I want to invest in Benin, but I have some challenges. So you give a call to Afreximbank. In conjunction with the local banks, we find a solution for you. You can bid. We provide a guarantee to a bid bond in that country on your behalf, and you move on with your business. So this is the whole idea. So we are very solution driven. We develop tailor-made solutions. Whenever there's a bottleneck, so what can we do? So it's not like we just one size fits all. No, we have to find solutions for African businesses. And we have to work together because we don't know it all. Now, I think in a nutshell, we have a full array of products and services. I will just once more touch on, for example, guarantee in support of government commitment to project. So you come and you are in a public-private partnership and the government says, I will put 20% in this project, and for any reason the government cannot meet its commitment. So we come and say, if the government does not meet its commitment, Afreximbank will back the government. We provide merchant marine facilities. So acquisition of vessels. We say, we look at our business and we financing. Can we finance that? The answer is yes. In terms of fleet financing, the transportation fleets, to move goods from one end to the other, we can provide that. So I think for sake of time, I can spend hours here, but I'll keep it short. I think you basically understood what Afreximbank is all about, what we can do through partnership, to innovative solutions, digital solutions, and I've touched on this one. Africa Trade Gateway, we can elaborate a little bit more. And I've talked about the MANSA benefits, which is compliance. I think there's no way you can do business in the world without being compliance clear, KYC. Wherever you go, you need to make sure that we are dealing with the right partners. So, Paps, thank you very much. I just want to touch a little bit on few, and with the permission of Doctor, 5 more minutes, please. As you know, we are, as a development, we have a development mandate. So we are also on the Africa, we've actually launching centers, which we call Africa Quality Assurance Center. I think we have 1 year, which was commissioned in December 2022. That is in Ogun. It's all about hard quality sort of assurance. We build lab for testing, inspecting the African-made products. So when you are producing and you want to go for, so we want to export or you want to sell domestically, and we ensure that the quality, the standards, which are international standards, are met. And we are doing it across some states in Nigeria and beyond. So this is already live, and you can see what we are doing. I mentioned the Ogun State, and this is also across Africa. Harmonization, this is the soft, what we say the soft aspects of it. We need to harmonize our national, regional policies when it comes to quality assurance and so on and so forth. Now, I will leave the floor to my colleague, Safiatou, to touch on the Inter-African Trade Fair, the upcoming Inter-African Trade Fair. Thank you. On n'a plus beaucoup de temps, hein. Je pense qu'on n'a que 10 minutes, donc je ne sais pas comment tu vas débrouiller.
Good afternoon. I won't be long. I've been asked to shorten the presentation. I'm Safiatou. I'm in charge of trade and investment promotion at Afrexim Bank. Take you through very fast. You can't hear? Okay, it's better. Okay. The Inter-African Trade Fair comes with a state of, knowledge that there is something lacking, a missing link. So Afrexim Bank, in collaboration with Africa Union Commission and the AFCFTA Secretariat, decided to establish the Inter-African Trade Fair. We had now 3 editions. I will just go fast. I won't dwell on the 3 past editions, and I will just go directly to the 4th edition. It's a unique platform to establish and enable business across Africa to connect them. Just like the Leeds call out of the Lagos International Trade Fair, one of our main objectives is to connect. Okay, these are the introduction about the first edition, but for the sake of time, I will just go directly to the objective, knowing that this information can be found on the IETF website. The main reason, as I was saying, is to bring together businesses, to connect them during the trade fair in order to share information and, of course, to establish partnership and financing. Also, the Inter-African Trade Fair serves as the AFCFTA marketplace. This is the place where all Africans are expected to meet every 2 years, and as well as buyers and sellers across the continent to explore business opportunities. It also serves as an information platform, because we got to know that the main reason or the main obstacle of the low intra-African trade rate is not mainly infrastructures, as we usually say, it's lack of information. Our projection for 2025, which is next year, is 2,000 exhibitors, 35,000 visitors, You are welcome to visit physically. You are also welcome to take a virtual booth and visit through the IATF website. We are also 140 participating countries as opposed to last year where we are more than 130. And in terms of trade and investment deals, we are expecting 44 billion US dollar. Nigeria is a very key stakeholder for IATF. Last year, our outcome for the trade and investment, Nigeria share was 40%. Nigeria has 17, okay, this is a sign that my family, okay. Nigeria has more than 17 billion out of the 43, and 10,000 visitors out of the 28,000 and 400 exhibitors. And we are hoping that this year, or this next year, I'm already in 2025, next year in Algeria, this is going to be more. The Intra-African Trade Fair is 7 days memorable, and I don't know who attended the first edition, but it's an unforgettable week that needs to be lived. It's not only like you come, you visit and all that. Every day has a particular show or arrowhead. The visitor profile, of course, it's very mixed. It's a multi-sectoral trade fair, so it's very mixed. You have government, private sector, business support organization, such as Lagos Chamber of Commerce, agencies, academia, and I may come back to that because this is an innovation. NGOs, finance institution, like Eti was rightly saying, Afrexim Bank, we don't only work in solo, we also work with all the commercial banks within the continent. The key vertical of the trade fair is trade and exhibition, trade and investment forum, the CANEX, which is the Creative Africa Nexus program, the AFSNet with the Soft Sovereign Governor Network also, and the IATF Virtual, the B2B platform, of course, and the Research and Innovation Hub. If I add more time, I will take time for each of them, but for the sake of time, I will just go fast. Of course, the trade and exhibition is just like the Lagos International Trade Fair, where SMEs and large corporates are expected to take booth. Pavilion also, you can also share pavilion. You can take a pavilion for SMEs and share and have stand sharers inside the pavilion. And also where you can exhibit